Safe to say, it has not been the best week or two for Newark Liberty International Airport. ATC shortages, technology malfunctions, bad weather, and runway construction have come together to create the worst possible storm for the airport, forcing delays of 4 hours or more for many flights. It even forced United Airlines, who carries 63 to 68% of passengers traveling via Newark, to cancel 10% of their flights from or to Newark over the last weekend, which translates to 35 United flights a day. Welcome to D-Transit. Today, we'll take a deep dive into the factors that caused one of Newark's worst ever weeks in recent history, and whether any of them could have been avoided. Before we begin, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content, and comment below what topics you'd like to see moving forward. We'll start with some basic information. Newark Liberty International Airport is New Jersey's primary airport, servicing the majority of the northern part of the state as well as the rest of the New York metropolitan area. Located just 10 miles west-southwest of Manhattan, it is the second closest airport to the heart of New York City, beaten only by LaGuardia Airport in Queens. Newark is also one of the gateways to Europe, with a plethora of flights leaving each night for European destinations. The airport is a primary hub for United Airlines for passenger transport and FedEx Express for cargo transport, as well as a base for Spirit Airlines. In 2024, the airport served 48 million passengers and 711,000 tons of cargo, situating itself as the second busiest airport in the tri-state behind John F. Kennedy International Airport in Queens. Landside, the airport is split into 3 primary terminals. Terminal A is the newest of them all, having replaced an older one with the same name in 2021, and has 33 gates. Terminal B is the oldest standing terminal, built in 1973, and primarily services international arrivals and departures. Before the upgrade of Terminal C, Terminal B was the only location where international arrivals could be processed through a customs and immigration checkpoint. Terminal C opened in 1988 and was upgraded by Continental Airlines in 2000 when it partially rebuilt and expanded, adding an international arrivals concourse. Today, the terminal's sole user is United Airlines, who uses Terminal C as its main terminal, along with additional operations in Terminals A and B. Airside, Newark Liberty International Airport has 3 runways and over 12 miles of taxiways. Unlike its counterparts in JFK and LaGuardia, Newark is not adjacent to a body of water, but rather the New Jersey Turnpike, Interstate 78, US Route 1 and 9, and the Port of Newark. These restrictions have ensured that Newark has no possibility of expanding operations, which means it must make do with what land it has. Newark has 3 runways. Its 2 primary runways are parallel to each other, 4R22L and 4L22R. These runways are 10,000 and 11,000 feet long respectively, and are just 950 feet apart, ranking it 4th in the list of closest parallel runways in the United States. 4R22L and 4L22R handle most of the daily operations at Newark, with 4L22R being used for daily takeoffs and 4R22L being used for landings. Newark's 3rd runway, 1129, intersects the parallel runways at their northern end, running in more of an east-west direction. 1129 is 6,700 feet long, meaning that it can only usually handle smaller aircraft, often no bigger than a Boeing 737, and is only really used when there are extreme crosswinds. Right, now that we've gotten the basic details out of the way, we can start dissecting what's happened in the last week or two. Since roughly April 28th, Newark has been experiencing consistent daily delays, with planes seeing an average of an hour or 2 hours of delays. The 28th was also the landmark day when Philadelphia's TRACON, the commanding TRACON for the airspace surrounding Newark Airport, suddenly lost radar and radio connection with all planes in the area for anywhere from 30 to 90 seconds. This prompted calls for investigation from DOT Secretary Sean Duffy, multiple Senate members, and even found its way to the president's desk. There's 4 main factors playing into Newark's extreme delays: runway availability, ATC shortages, blackouts, and bad weather. We'll start with runway availability. As mentioned before, Newark has 3 runways, but only the 2 parallel, larger runways are more heavily used. on a good day, 4L22R is used for takeoffs, while 4R22L is used for landings, allowing the airport to run faster operations. But as does come with any highly used, never sleeping piece of infrastructure, repair was needed. 4R22L was rehabilitated in 2021, still partially during the COVID slumber, which meant effects were mitigated. Before L22R hadn't been renovated since 2014 and was due a severe upgrade. So the Port Authority elected to renovate 4L22R over a 60-day period, beginning April 15, 2025 and projected to end on June 15, 2025. Since then, 4R22L has been Newark's only full-length runway in operation, which forces the airport to run takeoffs and landings on the same runway. This substantially decreases the rate at which planes can land and leave the airport, creating backlogs both at Newark and abroad. The reconstruction of the runway had been factored in by airlines, who understood that delays would be possible, but not to this magnitude. To cope with the backlog, Newark also opened 1129 for landings from the eastern side of the airport, but only for aircraft smaller than Boeing 737s, as the shorter length means the runway cannot accommodate larger aircraft. Whichever way you spin it, the runway restrictions played a huge role in the issues at Newark recently. The next issues we'll cover relate to air traffic controllers, which is probably the biggest factor in this week-long meltdown. The airspace surrounding and above Newark Liberty International Airport is controlled by three primary entities. The Class D airspace that extends 5 miles from Newark and up to 2,500 feet above the surface is controlled by the tower at Newark Airport, where pilots must maintain two-way radio contact with the tower. From 2,500 feet to 13,000 feet, the airspace around Newark Airport is controlled by Philadelphia TRACON, or Terminal Radar Approach Control. Philly's TRACON is responsible for most of the time that a plane approaches or departs Newark, apart from when they are in the vicinity of the tower. Above 13,000 feet, the airspace is controlled by the New York Air Route Traffic Control Center, known as New York Center, which is operated at Long Island's MacArthur Airport in Ronkonkoma, New York. The ATC issues in question occurred with the Philadelphia TRACON, which handles the commands and lineups of aircraft for approaches and directs planes on departure. Newark was originally under the New York TRACON, which meant that one office handled flights for LaGuardia, Newark, JFK, and Stewart at the same time. But ATC shortages at the New York TRACON meant challenges for the staff to maintain one of the world's most complicated airspaces. To alleviate this, the Newark area was transferred to the Philadelphia TRACON in 2024. There were no immediate issues, and the transition was fairly smooth. But on May 5th, a week after Newark began melting down, the union representing Philadelphia's ATCs produced a statement, reporting that for anywhere from 30 to 90 seconds on April 28th, all communications at TRACON went black, with ATCs unable to contact planes via radio or see them on radar. The U.S. Department of Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy reported that the outage lasted for 30 seconds, while the union reported an outage of 90 seconds. According to Flight Radar 24, 15 to 20 flights were being controlled by the TRACON Center when communications went down. A former ATC even likened the situation to driving on a highway but having a blindfold put on you. After investigations, the FAA claimed that on May 9th that the outage was caused by a wiring issue that transmitted data from the old TRACON Center in New York to the new TRACON Center in Philadelphia. In events like these, a backup system is supposed to be waiting on standby to take over operations. In this case, it took almost a minute for that system to be operational. Another outage was reported by the FAA early Friday morning on May 9th around 4 a.m. The statement claimed that there was a telecommunications outage that impacted communications and radar display at Philadelphia TRACON, lasting about 90 seconds. As a result of this, 5 FAA controllers at Philly TRACON took trauma leave after the incident. Considering that air traffic controlling is a constant high-stress environment, losing connection with flights while being their only source of direction and communication can take a huge toll on a person. This further depleted an already thin ATC staff at Philadelphia, which takes me to my next point: ATC shortages. Air traffic controller shortages have plagued American airspace for years, but reached a boiling point this year as the worst in the last 30 years. But the replacement and addition of ATCs is not an overnight solution. ATC applicants have to be younger than 31 so that they can work the 20 years needed to qualify for pensions before a mandated retirement age of 56. The FAA implements this retirement age because of the physical stamina and continuous mental sharpness that an ATC must sustain for the entirety of their shift. You also can't just transfer ATCs. Air traffic controllers must learn and memorize the area that they are controlling, the airports, the waypoints, airspace restrictions, and even flight patterns coming in from nearby regional airports under other TRACON offices. Oh, and to exacerbate all of this, bad weather moved into the area over that same week or two, moving low clouds and rain into northern New Jersey, hampering air traffic patterns and even putting multiple ground stops on arrivals and departures at Newark. In the end, United Airlines canceled 35 flights per day over the first weekend of May in an effort to reduce the strain on Newark. Over 40% of flights have been delayed since April 28th, with the large majority of them by over an hour or two, with most going up to 3 or 4 hours late, either at Newark or at its origin airport. From April 28th until May 6th, a total of 885 Newark flights were canceled. Before this period, an average of 4 flights had been canceled per day at Newark in April. Newark was getting closer to recovering until the incident on the morning of May 9th sent Newark into disarray yet again. From a large viewpoint, it really has just been a very, very unfortunate coincidence of events. Runway construction, ATC outages, and bad weather all at once? But the hiring issues at Philadelphia TRACON have been known for decades, and there's been a problem with ATC hirings in America for almost 30 years. Something does have to be said for the FAA cuts that happened under the current president, though. In February, just after the horrible disaster that occurred in the Potomac River near Washington, D.C., the Trump administration announced the firing of several hundred FAA employees, listed as air traffic control employees. However, the FAA disputed this by saying that probationary and secondary personnel were let go, nor air traffic controllers were let go of. Regardless, there's a heightened chance that these cuts exacerbated the shortage at Philadelphia, putting more stress on the few ATCs at the TRACON and making the system even more vulnerable. And New Jersey as a whole isn't doing much better either. The state's commuter rail system is likely to go down in the next week, as the representative transit union BLET has planned a strike for their employees operating the rail network of New Jersey Transit on the basis of unfair wage increases. And that is where we come to a close in today's video. The entire New Jersey transport system is in disarray right now, and if the strike does go through at New Jersey Transit, it will only make things even worse. If you enjoyed this type of video and want to see more aviation-related videos, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If I missed something you'd like to see covered, be sure to comment it below. Thanks for watching this D-Transit video, and have a fantastic day.